This is 7 National News, and in our top story, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, will open on Wednesday the first regular term in the 16th legislative chapter of the Federal National Council after the election of 20 members on October 3rd and the appointment of a further 20. President, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, issued on Monday a federal decree setting up the Federal National Council for its 16th legislative chapter. The UAE Vice President is set to give a speech on behalf of President His Highness Sheikh Khalifa. The session will be chaired by the eldest member of the Council until a speaker is elected. The members then take the oath and deputy speakers and observers are elected. 9 committees and an ad hoc committee to respond to the President's speech will then be elected. The UAE leadership has expressed its dedication to empowering women to become real partners in the country's overall development, topping the ranks as the best Arab country in women's empowerment. The UAE has responded to UNHCR's appeal to alleviate the conditions of asylum seekers and refugees in Greece. Vice President, Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, ordered a fund and facilitate a bridge of airlifts of humanitarian supplies from UNHCR's global stockpile in Dubai to refugees and asylum seekers in Lesbos, Greece. This urgent delivery of aid comes at a critical time when refugees start preparing for harsh winter conditions, freezing temperatures, rain and storms, which reached many parts of Central and Southeastern Europe. UNHCR's acting regional representative to the GCC countries, Dr. Nabil Othman, praised the humanitarian response, saying that this important and generous gesture by His Highness through the International Humanitarian City (IHC) will serve to improve the difficult living conditions refugees and asylum seekers are facing. For many, the choice to embark on such dangerous journeys give their children a chance of survival and safety. The total airlift, which started its operations from Dubai International Airport on the 27th of October, contained around 90 metric tons of blankets with a value of $366,240. It is estimated that this year alone, sea arrivals to Greece have surpassed the 500,000 mark. The latest figures from Greece bring the total number of refugees and asylum seekers crossing the Mediterranean this year to some 752,000, including almost 609,000 to Greece, 140,200 to Italy, and 2,797 to Spain. His Highness Sheikh Saif bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Deputy Prime Minister and UAE Minister of Interior, attended the opening day of the inaugural World Strategy Summit in Abu Dhabi. His Highness Sheikh Saif attended the panel discussion during the opening day of the summit, where Her Excellency Sheikh Lubna Al Qasimi, UAE Minister of International Cooperation and Development, discussed the innovative strategies undertaken by the government, particularly in the global humanitarian efforts. The event also featured a keynote address by Her Excellency Uhud Al-Rumi, the Director General of the Prime Minister's Office, where she outlined the UAE's Vision 2021, identifying the government as an entity with the most customers. Her Excellency Al-Rumi stated that the country has put forward 52 national KPIs to ensure government excellence. It was added that the strategy involves a visionary leadership and unified efforts towards achieving their national agenda. While the forum focused on empowering employees and the younger generation, Her Excellency Sheikh Lubna Al Qasimi stated that they have actively engaged the youth in their aid efforts, as authorities now have to listen in order to be heard.
What happens in an organization as a government, even in over deployment of humanitarian aid? If you look at refugees camps that we actually run today, we use solar energy in these, we utilize water treatment, where we capitalize on usage of water, where it becomes a part of irrigation system that the refugees can use to grow their own veggies as well. So the change is happening, and it happens almost in every path of life, whether it's at work or at home. And therefore, we have to think how best we can hold this. You cannot resist it. You just have to move on with it. And based on that means that we have to engage everyone. And sometimes the younger employees will actually be better than the older employees and within the hierarchy. So engage everyone, listen to them, and I say, listen if you want to be heard.
Held under the theme Strategists for a Better Tomorrow, the summit also included addresses by leading business gurus and influential thinkers such as Tom Peters and Gray Hamel. Due to the technological advancement, Gary Hamel stated that there is a management evolution revolution, which means that leaders should now be connectors of talent and ideas. Meanwhile, Tom Peters added that a corporation's strategic length lies in building a workplace that their people love.
I think the challenge in so many organizations, they were built around kind of a 100-year-old model that was very hierarchical and very top-down, where people felt quite disempowered. I think that has to change if we're going to have organizations that are as creative and adaptable as the people inside them. To create more empowerment, to create more autonomy, there's a set of preconditions that have to go with it. Number one, people need real-time information so they know how to make the right choices, right? You don't empower people unless you first give them information. Number two, we have to invest in their competence and capabilities so they're wise enough to make those decisions. Number three, we want to create a lot of transparency in our organization so we know exactly who's underperforming and who's doing better. So there's an inward pressure for people to improve. And then finally, you need quite a short feedback loop between making a decision and seeing a result, sometimes even a next week's paycheck. So empowerment is not just this emotional thing of giving people more power, it's equipping people to exercise their gifts, to exercise their judgment.
In our non-work life, we understand it. But in our work life, including our bosses, it's you got to get it right, got to do it right. Well, there isn't any right way to do it anymore. Everybody is inventing it. And so it's like the joy thing. There's a friend of mine from MIT wrote a book with a really odd name, and the book is called Serious Play. And he says the environment has to be playful, even if we're in pharmaceuticals or even if we're in a hospital, because we've got to adapt and learn so much. But and I enjoyed in the talking about this industrial software company that uses the term joy. And I know a lot of people who are here in the UAE or in the United States who think it's silly, but my point is think about it. What if people really got off on what they were doing? And I think it's possible.
The prevalence of preterm births at the Dubai Health Authority's maternity hospitals is roughly 15 to 20% of all deliveries. That's according to a statement released by the DHA. The authority on Monday held a smart clinic to discuss care of neonates ahead of the day, which is observed today, the 17th of November each year, to raise awareness of preterm birth and the concerns of preterm babies and their families worldwide. Medical experts have stated that some of the reasons of preterm delivery include having a previous premature birth, pregnancy with twins, triplets, or other multiples, an interval of less than 6 months between pregnancies, conceiving through in vitro fertilization, problems with the uterus, cervix, or placenta, and some chronic conditions such as high blood pressure and diabetes, as well as being underweight or overweight before pregnancy. Meanwhile, DHA hospitals are encouraging family involvement to promote a baby's development while it's in the NICU. The Abu Dhabi Quality and Conformity Council, QCC, has carried out the second round of its annual inspection drive targeting children's toys traded in the markets of Abu Dhabi, Al Ain, and the Western region. Seeking to ensure the compliance of toys sold in the Emirates markets with relevant safety and quality standards, particularly the Gulf conformity marking, the inspection drive targeted children's toy shops, gift shops, and supermarkets. A total of 2,492 toys were checked, and warnings were issued to 15 outlets to take corrective action and comply with the required standards and requirements. QCC's quality inspectors stress that every product sold in the local markets should display all relevant details, including the names of the brands and manufacturers, country of origin, targeted age group, and product reference code clearly printed in Arabic and English in a non-erasable format. The manufacturer should also specify whether the toy needed to be handled only under the supervision of an adult. The product should not violate any social or cultural value inherent in the local society or contain any phrases, shapes, or pictures that disregard the country's religious and moral sensitivities. And finally, in the bulletin, dubbed the Godfather of street art, New York artist Richard Hambleton is making his Dubai debut at La Cantine de Fubu in collaboration with Nicholas Spree from Woodbury Art Dubai. An exhibition entitled The Godfather of Street Art is showcasing 3 never-before-seen Richard Hambleton original pieces until the 16th of February. Considered a pioneer of public art, the American artist is recognized as one of the most legendary pop expressionists in history, who inspired many well-known artists such as Andy Warhol and Banksy. 10 of Richard Hambleton's limited editions are showcased at the exhibition, with 3 original acrylic on-canvas pieces, such as Horse and Rider, reminding viewers of the vulnerability of the human life. Hambleton is best known for his mass murder concept and shadow man paintings, which resembled life-size silhouetted images of strange people and accumulated to about 600 figures in total.
Our main goal is to give to the mass market what we feel is blue chip art, which we feel is going to be something very, very, very good for people to collect or even to invest to. One of the reasons why we come to Dubai is because we feel it's a thriving economy. We also feel that there's a slightly untapped market here, so we feel that we can educate the market and hopefully build something over here with Nicholas Spree, our local partner. One of the reasons why Richard Hambleton is referred or known as the Godfather of street art is because he's one of the first people to pioneer that particular market. He used to use the streets of New York as a canvas. Many other artists would use canvases and other materials. He used to use the streets to display his feeling and what was actually going on back in the 70s and 80s. As most people know, back then it was very, very controversial and it was slightly rife with crime. So what he used to do is display it on the streets of New York. And that's why it's referred to as street art, and that is why it's referred to as Godfather street art. He's actually setting precedents now in the market for many, many years, and so many other artists have tried to follow in his footsteps and got so much inspiration off of him. I think he's a living legend.
Well, La Cantine du Faubourg is newly arrived in Dubai since this April. It's a hybrid concept that fluctuates between food, of course, music, videos, and arts, as we can see tonight. It's extremely special. We're very, very lucky, is the word, to have this amazing artist here, because he has influenced generations of street artists, from a person like Banksy or Blake Lerat that we know more in France. And it's sort of, I hope, a revenge for him, because out of Basquiat and Keith Haring, he was the most influential artist of his time during the downtown New York art movement. And it's a bit unfair that today he's not as known as they are, probably because he's still alive.